Okay, I'm just gonna make a video in KSP 181, just showing a docking operation on one of my space station satellites. I've got a few stations. I've got this smaller kind of test station. This was just a original attempt for docking, which was successful. My first try with the new orbital map system, which is quite good. And then we're actually going to try to add a addition to the Kerbal Space Station right here, KSS. Let's take a look at this thing. I've added, I believe, 3 separate sections to this space station so far. It's a smaller station. The original piece included this right here, which is actually permanently attached, which may have been a mistake, but I wanted a way to deorbit the whole station permanently, and I decided to just leave that attached deliberately. Um, then, sorry about that. Then I added this section here, this nice little living quarters, where we've got a Kerbal in there. Then I added this larger kind of observation quarters with these 2 landing modules, a few Kerbals in there as well. We've got these smaller solar panels because I didn't realize the larger ones existed, and it's a pretty basic station. Really, this is kind of facing the wrong way. This should really be rotated uh, 45 degrees so these panels go over the superstructure, but yeah, I kind of overlooked that when I originally built it. Anyway, then I also added this. This was the last module I added because I wanted to be able to dock with smaller crafts using the Docking Port Junior modules. So I added this, which was somewhat interesting because I had to bring a ship in long ways this way and then translate sideways to dock at a 90 degree from where you would usually dock, which was interesting, but that was actually easier to dock than this huge module over here since there's no RCS on here. So pivoting was very difficult when docking this. Anyway, so far there's really nothing to power on here because I don't really think there's really that much to power in the game yet. But I do have some batteries here just for the future, and I've got the solar panels. And basically what we're going to do is I want to bring up a larger solar array to add on right here. So let's get to work on doing that. Space Center. It's always kind of worrisome that they have the end flight button. So I'm always worried that I'm going to click that, but it hasn't happened yet. And we're going to take up the X-15 launcher, which is what launched all of those other parts that are currently attached. It's a little overbuilt for this purpose, but it carries modules of many different sizes, so it needs enough fuel to do that. I'm just going to launch this. It'll have 2 of these solar panels. I'm just checking my staging really quick. 1 moment. I'm just going to change this really quick. We'll select these solar panels, and then we'll do toggle panels. Oops, that's not what we want. We want to click on gear, then toggle panels. And that means when I press the gear button, then it'll toggle my solar panels. If you didn't know how the new binding the key thing worked, the action groups, then that's how they work. Because I was a little confused at first. Anyway, this rocket's pretty basic. It uses these solid rocket boosters just in the early parts of the low atmosphere to save a little bit of fuel. Then it switches largely to these huge tanks here. They're just double tanks. They're mounted a little bit differently, which those provide fuel to the central thruster most of the way up, and then that'll jettison, and then we'll switch to the main tank and the smaller Poodle engine underneath here, and this will push it the rest of the way for docking. This is plenty of RCS for anything. Honestly, a single smaller tank would be enough for almost any operation. The RCS seems to last pretty much forever. Anyway, let's get our ship ready to launch. Okay, I'm gonna actually here's what we do first for a docking mission. We want to make it so this satellite is as close as possible to us when we launch. That way we don't have to wait as long in orbit to catch up with it. So I'm just going to go ahead and wait until it's about right here. It's just right overhead. So I'm going to wait till it's daytime just to give me a little bit of a easier approach because I don't like launching at night very much. Okay, we're just waiting for it to come around now, and there it is. Just gonna wait till it's right overhead. This is it, KSS. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and launch. I do have a ASS on here, which I have to say helps quite a bit in the actual docking maneuvers, and it just makes the all-around ascent a little bit more easy. So I definitely recommend having one of those. Though on smaller ships, it's not really necessary for docking because the normal SAS just in the pod is enough. So let's go ahead and circularize our orbit one more time. So we're going to point right at the velocity vector there. Just move straight to our apoapsis. 129 and thrust. And that'll do it. We're at about 128 to 129. That's a good enough orbit for me. And we're going to go ahead and click on KSS and set that as our target. So now this purple little thing that usually points at the KSC is now pointing at our target. So our goal here is actually to get that matched up with our positive velocity vector, but we don't need to do that until we're actually really close to the target. So what we're going to do is we're going to time accelerate until we're really close to the target. So we're almost there right now, but we got a little bit to go. Okay, there we go. Okay, now we might be able to see it in the non-orbital view, but I'm not going to worry about it for now. What we're going to do is we are actually going to find the purple thing, and we're just going to kind of boost towards the target. This should increase our speed just a bit, and we're going to try to change it so that our positive velocity vector is going at the purple thing. So I'm actually going to boost to the other side of it and attempt to change it. See? Hopefully you can see what I'm doing because I'm not explaining it too well right now, but I'm trying to get it so my positive vector is facing over the marker there. And then let's check our intercept and see if we've got one yet. Not quite. There we go. You see that? I have it matched up positive velocity vector, so we are moving in this direction towards the ship right now. And I'm just going to boost a little bit more. So we're moving towards the ship right now. And over here it says we are going to cross within, I believe 10 kilometers. Yeah, 10.6 kilometers of the object. So we're doing pretty good so far. So we can actually watch that and just keep accelerating towards it to try to move our orbit even closer. So that's what we're going to do. We can't get it too close, most likely from this view. We'll probably have to fix it with RCS. But just keep pointing at your pink or purple target vector and try to keep your positive velocity vector, the one that doesn't have the X, over the target. So you'll have to boost to the, like if the thing is to the left of the target, then you'll have to boost to the right to try to move it to the left. Anyway, we're going to cross within 3.3 kilometers of the object right at this point. So this is where it gets a little interesting. We're going to have to use our main map to actually do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just time accelerate to where we're really close to the target intercept point. Then we're going to look around for the object. I think it should be above us. There it is right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep using our main engine. We're just going to point to the right of our purple vector and try to change our course to intersect with it. It's difficult to do because of the way that we are working, but this is what we basically need to do. So we are actually going much faster than it. Our current velocity is our velocity in relation to the target, so once that starts going up, we know we are approaching the target once again. So here we go. We've managed to change it just a bit by going to the right of the target because that's where our thing was. Oh, jeez. Okay, so we are heading towards the target. We're going to miss it. Hang on. Just a moment. Now we have to point out our negative velocity and cut throttle hardcore. We're going to attempt to slow way down to catch up with this thing. See, it passed us, but now we're pointing right back and we're cutting throttle. We're now heading towards the object. See, the goal was to actually we get close enough that we pass by it. We got close enough that we passed by the object, correct? Then as we were passing the object, we quick pointed at the negative velocity vector and cut all of our forward velocity in relation to the target. So we're basically now locked going only 3.6 meters per second towards the target, but we are going to miss it at this point. But we are going to miss the target at this point. If you look, the velocity vector is not pointing directly at it, but that's what we can fix at the end. So I'm just going to go ahead and increase throttle just a bit to the left of that target. It's not literally to the left, I'm talking about left on the nav ball. And that should just point us a little better straight at the target. This is where we want to head straight towards the target. So I'm going to keep using my main engine to do this because the RCS does not suffice for a ship of this size, but it will once we get much closer. So I'm going to go ahead and engage RCS and point straight at my vector with the target and re-engage my ASAS. Then I'm going to go ahead and actually retro burn using RCS to hopefully slow down enough before reaching the target. Okay. So now we're slowing down before reaching the target. We're going 3.0 meters per second towards the target. You can see it. So look at that. The target's moving in at 3.0 meters per second. This is a good speed so far. We will need to readjust to attempt to hit the target again. I think we have to go to this side if we're going to retro burn because we're going too far over. You'll just have to experiment with this, honestly. Okay, I'm going to slow down just a bit more. I'm just still retro burning. We're moving 2.0 meters per second straight towards the target. It is 680 meters away, so it should take just a little bit longer before we actually reach it. I'm trying to adjust to try to get into a better thing with it. There we go. I just used my main engine to do that just to make it go a little bit faster. The whole key is that little purple vector thing, the little purple target thing, trying to get your vector over that. No matter where you are in your orbit, you want to get your positive velocity vector over that, at least to an angle where you're getting closer to it. Then you look at your target velocity, and if that's positive, then you're moving towards it. If it's negative, you're moving away, though it doesn't actually come up in positive or negative. You just have to figure out that you're moving away or moving towards it, which is fairly easy. Anyway, I'm going to actually use my RCS to accelerate towards the target again because I slowed down just a bit too much. We want to get closer to it a little bit faster. So here's what we're actually going to do. I'm going to turn the ship back around and do a engine retro burn once we get close enough to the target, which I didn't really recommend doing in the beginning, but so what. Anyway, look how much monopropellant we have for our RCS thrusters. We're never going to run out. We could deorbit using that, so fuel is not really an issue. Okay, the object's almost within range at this point. Get ready. We are going to do a hard burn. We're going to keep it on target. So you could do this without RCS ostensibly, but it would be very difficult because once you get closer, the RCS is very important, especially for translating. Okay, we are fast approaching at 2.4 meters per second. We're back on the ASAS. I flipped the ship back around to reach the target. I'm going to go ahead and open up my docking code now. Just, whoops, that was the wrong button. That's kind of confusing, I guess. Let's see, we're pretty close now. And there's the target. We're going to decrease throttle once again. I'm going to move a little bit kind of down like this, just so that when I decrease throttle, it moves a little bit more over the thing. Since we are now accelerating, actually slow down, so we're going backwards. I put myself to the right of the target to move the target thing left, because that would be the same. If you understand what I'm saying, if you're moving backwards, you would need to go to the right in the opposite directions of the little pink target icon. But, you know, you should be able to figure that out in time. It doesn't it's mostly just trial and error. You should have enough RCS to really just keep going. Anyway, we're fast approaching. You can see the station now quite clearly. It's only 87 meters away. Okay, I'm gonna re-engage my RCS and just kind of start tapping it to slow way down. We're only going at 0.6 meters per second right now. We'll figure out where we are in relation to it, though I can kind of see it right now when we get there. And then we'll try to turn our orbit to a fairly static one with the target object. So anyway, okay, I'm going to go a little quiet here because this part takes a little bit more concentration, at least with the view. I don't usually use the docking mode. There's like a docking mode down here, which might be easier for some players, but in my opinion, I'm just used to the other RCS translating mode. That just makes it so that WASD basically does what you need it to do. You'll figure it out if you try it, but it's a little difficult for me to do it that way. Okay, I'm only going 0.1. I might actually be moving away right now. No, I'm still moving towards it. I just did that, so now I can use my RCS to kind of go towards it again. A little bit faster pace, but this time actually be facing it, so that was just a quick correction. And now we're coming in. If we were docking right here, we'd be good right now, but we're not docking right there, so yeah. I'm planning on docking on this side down here, but that's not a big deal. We can adjust that when time comes. 0.3 meters per second. I'm going to increase my throttle, not my throttle, I'm just going to turn on my RCS one more time. We are now getting very close to the target. Here is where we are going to attempt to completely cut our target velocity, so we're practically stationary right now. Then I'm going to turn off my ASAS and try to turn my ship to face to where it needs to be facing. Okay, see, I want to dock there, so we want my ship to be facing up. It doesn't actually need to be perfect because there's magnets on the docking ports that will actually do what you need them to do. They will help you quite a bit. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of trouble now steering this thing. So it looks like where we need to go is, see, it doesn't, we still have the issue where we can't actually tell which way we're gonna boost because the ship could be facing any direction. So I believe the new view attempts to remedy that. I mean, the new control option for docking attempts to remedy that, but I don't think they were successful. At least I have not learned how to use it yet effectively. I mean, you might want to try it. It may work very well, but I am not experienced with it yet, so I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way. Anyway, we are now approaching it at an angle. This is where the problem with having a very large docking module is an issue, like this one over here on the right side of the space station, because your RCS will cause your thing to torque because of the mass of the object that you're docking. But it shouldn't be a problem here. I just accidentally hit the map button by mistake. But it's not that big of an issue. I'm going to go ahead and quick save in case we screw anything up. Okay, we're now approaching at 0.3 meters per second. We are going to readjust. I tried to get it so that I'm basically going straight 90 degrees on all my moves, so you might want to roll your spacecraft to make sure that you're doing that, but you'll figure it out. I'm just mainly trying to show for anyone who's stuck, but you're going to have to figure out quite a bit of stuff on the actual translating, just because this part can be very difficult. But once you get it down, you really do have a lot of margin of error here, so let's lucky. Here we go. We're coming in right now. I'm going to go ahead and get us really close. That looks very good. Cut throttle, and we have got magnet lock. And we'll kind of rotate like this for a bit, but we are docked, so we're just gonna wait for it now. Let's turn off our RCS, turn off our SAS, and let the magnets bring us in. Should be good very soon. I might need to rotate it just, yep, there we go. That's the lock. And we're locked. And that's pretty much all that's to it. You just gotta, once you get close, it's pretty self-explanatory what you need to do. I recommend you turn off your ASAS once you actually dock, just because there can be issues. Now let's see which way these things actually deploy. I actually came in at a pretty good angle, so these won't be deploying at a very wide angle, but it is difficult roll-wise to get your spacecraft in the right way. And there we go. I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And our new solar arrays have been installed. The sun is actually on the wrong side of the station right now, but with these new solar arrays, that shouldn't really be a problem. Anyway, now we can just go ahead and decouple our nodes here. And now that we've decoupled the nodes, we are actually separated, so we can re-engage our CS, press the back key, and push ourselves away from the station. That's all there is to it. Might have not done the best verbal explanation there, but hopefully just watching the video you can kind of figure out what you need to do. You just left click on your target to select it, and then the goal is to try to get your positive velocity vector over the purple target icon, which is the circle with the dot in it. The other one is the means you're facing away from the target, but you should be able to tell from the video what I'm facing towards. Anyway, that's mainly how you do it. So just get into an orbit right underneath the target. If you're behind it, if you're above it, you'll need to be in an orbit ahead of it. Then just time accelerate till you're really close to the target, then figure out where the target is, boost towards the target to try to get your velocity vector over the pink target vector, then wait a little bit. Once you're within visual distance, you should be able to figure out where you need to go, especially using the new system. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have to say, so have a good one.